Imagine two friends, Jane and Sue, living in the same neighborhood with similar jobs and lifestyles. Their houses mirror each other with the same white picket fence and a ruby red door. They both work at the same company, share the same commute, and even have the same taste in food. But when you look a little closer, there's something remarkably different about these two friends. Jane, with a twinkle in her eye, always has a smile on her face. She whistles while she works, finds time to stop and smell the roses, and never misses a chance to enjoy a good joke. Her laughter is infectious, and she seems to carry a bubble of joy wherever she goes. On the other hand, Sue, even though leading a life, has a cloud of gloom hovering around her. She often finds herself stressed about work, complains about the weather, and rarely finds time to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. Her world seems like a puzzle with a missing piece, and that piece is happiness. But why is that? Why, when they both have so much in common, is there a stark difference in their happiness levels? Could it be that Jane has discovered a secret formula for happiness that Sue hasn't? Or is it possible that Jane simply chooses to be happy, while Sue unknowingly chooses otherwise? These questions lead us to an intriguing concept, the idea that happiness might not be something that just happens to us, something that we stumble upon by chance or luck. Instead, could it be something we actively choose, a state of mind that we decide to experience? While Jane seems to find joy in small things, Sue struggles to find happiness in the same circumstances. What makes the difference? Is happiness really a choice? As the sun sets, Jane and Sue return to their identical homes, their experiences of the day as different as night and day. Science has some interesting insights into the nature of happiness. Diving deep into the world of neuroscience, psychologists and sociologists, we find that happiness isn't as elusive as one might think. In fact, it's a fascinating mix of genetics, environment, and personal outlook. Genetics, it turns out, has a substantial role in our happiness. Some people are naturally wired to be more cheerful, more optimistic. These folks have won what some might call the genetic lottery. But that's not the whole story. Our environment also plays a crucial role. The places we live, the people we surround ourselves with, our socioeconomic status, all of these factors can influence our happiness. A nurturing environment can foster positivity, while a toxic one can lead to stress and discontent. But perhaps the most interesting aspect of happiness lies in our personal outlook. How we perceive the world around us, how we react to life's ups and downs, can greatly impact our level of happiness. Now let's talk about hedonic adaptation. This is our tendency to return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative events in our lives. Win a lottery or lose a job, after a while you'll likely return to your usual level of happiness. This phenomenon is also known as the set point theory of happiness. The set point theory suggests that each of us has a baseline level of happiness which we return to over time, regardless of what happens in our lives. And while this might sound a bit deterministic, it's not all set in stone. Research indicates that the set point isn't entirely fixed. With conscious effort, through practices like mindfulness, gratitude, and cognitive behavioral techniques, we can nudge our happiness set point in a positive direction. So while it's true that our genes and environment have a say, they don't have the final word. A substantial part of our happiness is within our grasp, waiting to be unlocked by our actions, our thoughts, and our choices. While genetics and environment do play a part, research suggests that a significant portion of our happiness is within our control. Remember Jane and Sue. Their different levels of happiness may be a matter of perspective. Perspective is a powerful tool that shapes our world, the way we interpret events, and ultimately how we feel about them. You see, the same event can be experienced differently depending on how one chooses to view it. This is the concept of cognitive reframing. Cognitive reframing is a psychological technique that involves identifying and then disputing irrational or maladaptive thoughts. It's like taking a step back, observing your thoughts and emotions, and then consciously deciding to view them from a different angle. It's like adjusting the lens through which we see the world, allowing us to experience the same events but with different emotional outcomes. Take Jane and Sue, for instance. Jane might see a rainy day as a damper on her plans, while Sue might view it as a chance to cozy up with a good book. Same event, different perspectives, different emotional responses. Now, how can we actively harness the power of perspective to enhance our happiness? Two effective tools at our disposal are gratitude and mindfulness. Gratitude is the simple act of appreciating what we have rather than focusing on what we lack. It's about acknowledging the good in our lives, and in doing so, we shift our focus from negative thoughts to positive ones. This shift in focus can significantly elevate our mood and overall sense of well-being. Mindfulness, on the other hand, is about being fully present and engaged in the current moment. It involves accepting our thoughts and feelings without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, we can reduce stress and anxiety and create space for happiness to flourish. So, is happiness a choice? Perhaps not directly. We can't just decide to be happy and expect it to happen instantaneously. However, we can choose our perspective. We can decide to practice gratitude, to be mindful, and to reframe our thoughts. And these choices in turn can significantly influence our happiness. So it seems that while we might not directly choose to be happy, we can choose our perspective, which in turn can influence our happiness. How do we apply this to our lives? Can we really choose to be happier? This is where the essence of our journey comes to life. It's the intersection of theory and practice. Let's delve into some practical steps that we can take to enhance the happiness quotient in our lives. Firstly, let's talk about practicing gratitude. It's about acknowledging the good in life, about appreciating the blessings we often take for granted. It's as simple as starting a gratitude journal, writing down 3 things you are grateful for each day. This small act can work wonders in shifting our focus from what's wrong to what's right in our lives. Next, it's essential to cultivate positive relationships. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who make you feel good about yourself. Remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose wisely. Nurture relationships that bring joy and positivity. And don't forget to spread the same. Thirdly, find your purpose in life. This may sound like a tall order, but it's essentially about finding what makes you tick, what lights that fire within you. It could be anything from painting to coding to gardening. It's about finding that something that makes you lose track of time, that makes you feel alive. When we engage in activities that we are passionate about, we experience a state of flow, which is a potent source of happiness. Now, it's important to remember that this doesn't mean happiness is a direct choice. Like picking an item off a menu, it's more about choosing behaviors and attitudes that can lead us to experience happiness. It's about making conscious choices every day that align with our inner values and aspirations that contribute to our well-being and satisfaction. While happiness may not be a direct choice, we can choose behaviors and attitudes that increase our likelihood of experiencing happiness. It's about choosing to live a life that resonates with who we truly are, a life that brings us joy and fulfillment. So, is happiness a choice? We've journeyed through tales of friendship, delved into the science of happiness, pondered the power of perspective, and investigated the role of choice in our happiness. It's clear that the answer isn't as simple as a yes or no. Genetics and environment, 2 factors seemingly out of our control, play significant roles in our happiness. Yet, our perspective, how we choose to view the world and our place in it, also has a profound impact. And then there's the choices we make, the actions we take, the paths we tread. They too contribute to our happiness in ways both big and small. So while we might not be able to simply choose to be happy, we can make choices that lead us towards happiness. We can choose to be kind, to be grateful, to be present. While happiness might not be a simple choice, the choices we make can certainly influence our level of happiness. It appears that, to some extent, happiness is indeed a choice. Let's take a moment to reflect on our happiness journey. We've learned that happiness isn't just a destination, but a journey filled with choices we make every single day. It's about choosing to show kindness, choosing to be grateful, and choosing to be present. It's about choosing to see the good in the world and in ourselves. We might not be able to control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we react to it. We can choose to let it bring us down, or we can choose to rise above it. We can choose to let it define us, or we can choose to define ourselves. In the end, the journey towards happiness is a personal one. It's your journey, and while there might be obstacles along the way, remember that every step you take, every choice you make, is a step closer to finding your happiness. So keep walking, keep choosing, because your happiness journey is only just beginning. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. And remember, happiness is not just a destination, but a journey. So keep walking, keep choosing, and keep smiling. And thanks for watching.